So, we were scheduled to play a few songs at the block party, squeezing a show before the potluck and the s'mores. When I say we, I mean my band, the Hot Mamas. We'd chosen our name after practice that was interrupted twice by hot flashes and had to end early to go pick up some kids. The drummer insisted we play the block party early so she could go to her own block party, not miss the festivities. I was hesitant to play while it was still light outside and the beer wasn't flowing freely yet, because I'm a big believer in a little alcohol in the audience and in myself, as well as a little dark to take off the stage fright. But Rhonda was insistent. It was hard to dissuade Rhonda when she had her mindset. She didn't live in this block, but Rachel, the bass player, and we had to see these people every time we walked out the front door. I'd had terrible, terrible stage fright ever since I was in the 8th grade. And I was in a play called The Twist on Twist. It was an all-female version of Oliver Twist. Well, almost all-female. On the third night of the show, I played a girl called Mona. And on the third night of the show, when I'd been 13 for all of 4 days, and I'd had my first boyfriend for all of 24 hours, I found myself in over my head. The suave and handsome Beauregard, whose name was actually Steve, he was an older man, already a freshman in high school. He had the male lead, and all the girls in the play were madly in love with him. They'd all sigh when he walked in the room. So while that was really scripted, part of the play, we were all supposed to go, ah, when he walked in the room. Everybody actually did this every time he walked in the room off the stage. So I was starstruck that he'd chosen me, a really shy 8th grader who played Mona, a small part in the play, to be his second girlfriend of the season. So we sat backstage in a dark corner under an old set, waiting for our cues to go on stage. Me dressed in a floor-length dress and an apron and a little mint-colored bonnet. Him dressed in a tailored suit. And since a girl named Mona could never be freckled or have a smile on her face, they slathered me in this thick makeup to cover up my sun-splashed skin and used this really dull lipstick to draw like these little frown lines going down on my mouth. So we're there in the dark, and Beauregard leans in and presses his mouth against mine just before he rushes off and goes out for some big number. And I stand waiting in the entrance, ready, I thought at least, to go out for my one solo line singing part. And just as I was about to step out, the stage mom grabs me from the back of my dress and pulls me back into the makeup room. The stage mom, who also happens to be the mom of Beauregard's first girlfriend for the season. When I'm back in this room, I see Beauregard's pencil-drawn mustache is across my upper lip and down the side of my face. So, while she slowly fixes my makeup, I hope that it will cover up this blush, right, from this humiliation I've gone through. When she's finally finished, I run out the door, I run through the audience, up the stairs, knowing I've already missed my solo singing part. And I land face first on the stage. The crash is so big, it echoes through the entire auditorium. My foot caught in my dress. Luckily, someone ad-libbed, "Oh, that Mona, she's such a klutz." And it got the biggest laugh of the evening. But that laugh was at my expense. So I couldn't go out on a stage without breaking out in like a rash or hives for decades. So in order to move past this decades-old humiliation, I now needed the right conditions to go out on a stage. I needed dark and I needed alcohol, neither of which I had for this Hot Mama's big debut. Rhonda arrived late. We quickly set ourselves up on the sidewalk without checking our sound or warming up. I was sweating and trying to figure out, how did I get in this mess? We weren't ready. So in my head I'm thinking, why are we doing this so early? For me, stage fright usually hits its max before I go on stage. But within a little while, I'm up there, and I've connected with the audience, and I'm part of that story or that music. That did not happen with the Hot Mamas. Since we started with a couple of easy songs, it wasn't too bad. I couldn't quite hear the drum or the bass over my guitar, but I thought maybe we're sort of on. But the distracted look on my neighbors' faces, it wasn't very encouraging. Then came the tough song. That one started like this. Oh yeah, I'm falling down. Well, unfortunate words, since my stage fright started falling down face first on a stage. The song began with some drums, then a pause, and then I come in and start singing with the vocals, and then all of us, guitar, drums, bass, all come back in. At least in theory, that's how the song starts. From the moment we started, we were off. I came in about a half a beat too soon. And then when the drums jumped back in, they jumped back in way too soon, and the song started off at a lightning speed. The bass tried to catch up. Since I had started a half a beat late, and the drums had come in a couple of beats early, I figured I've got to skip a portion of the song and try to line this up, but I couldn't figure out how to make that work. And Rhonda, the drummer, she just closed her eyes and melted into her drumming world, completely oblivious to mine and the bass player's frantic, sweaty looks. I strained on the high notes, not only because I wasn't warmed up, but because of sheer terror. I looked at the half smile on the faces of the bass player's sweet, encouraging husband and children, and I thought, oh no, we're not doing this. So I raced into the second verse as fast as I could go, skipping over the guitar interlude, and I caught up with the drums. But at this point, I completely lost the bass. When I looked down at my guitar, just to make sure I was catching those the bar chord, I saw ants trailing up my leg, heading under my little blue miniskirt. So I rushed into that chorus, exchanging looks with the bass player, and she nodded. Unable to make eye contact with the drummer, we just wrapped that song up. So the drummer, she went into... First of all, I have to get off my guitar and start rubbing the ants off my leg. The drummer goes into completely ecstatic, just playing, wailing on those drums, and she can be heard probably for blocks, if not miles, across town. Realizing that we'd ended the song, finally Rhonda finishes her solo with a big flare. Confused and halting, the clapping began, but once Rachel's husband and kids started cheering, the other neighbors started cheering as well. I carried my guitar into the air conditioning, my face bright red from the heat, my leg bright red from the ants. And for the first few moments, I thought, I am the world's biggest loser. I say, how can I go out there again in front of all our neighbors? To my friend Rachel, cracking open a beer. And she starts laughing, and she goes, "At least we were entertaining." And then she goes, "Do you think they noticed those ants up your sexy little skirt?" And soon, we are both laughing so hard there are tears running down our faces. And she says, "Who cares? This is supposed to be our fun. We have other things that we do well." So as embarrassing as the total bombing of the Hot Mamas was, somehow it reset my fear response to an audience. When Rachel and I reappeared, our neighbors smiled and congratulated us, upping our status as interesting, if not talented, characters in the social status of our block. If I can completely blow a show in front of all my neighbors, what the hell, how worse can it get? But I will admit a bit of jealousy when the entire block was shaking their butts the next summer to a 9-piece cover band that brought their own sound system and an engineer to control it. One of the horn players had just moved in the house across the street. So I sat down on the curb between two other new neighbors and I said, "Have you heard how awful that band was last year?" And one of them looked at me and they said, "No, I just heard that this block has a band every year." So with that, I jumped up, I grabbed my old bass player, and we shook it like two hot mamas under the street lights of the 700 block of Humphrey Avenue.
Yes,